I've synthesized the questions asked and clustered them in about 6 areas. One is the center-center relations. There are things which can be dealt with at the center. That is the Ministry of Local Government, the local government associations, ministries, which can be dealt with there. I think like the case Jackie has said, there are things which can be dealt with at central level so that the local governments can be able to function very well. So if you have an issue which is of a policy nature, then please forward it to the Ministry of Local Government. They should be able to process it with the relevant bodies, Local Government Finance Commission, because it will waste your time for you to go and run to finance and so on. That's the first category of issues. The second category of issues is the center local. The local governments being able to engage the central government. You should know how to engage the center through the line Ministry of Local Government. Even when you engage other ministries, but the Ministry of Local Government has a responsibility in the Local Governments Act to make sure that the issues which are affecting local government functionality are resolved with the other line ministries. The third category is local. That is the problem which you hear here, the higher local governments and the way they interact with the lower local governments. The higher local governments are not supposed to really be dictators over lower local governments. That's why there is the principle of subsidiarity. In other words, each level is its own boss. Like Uganda say, don't have the poor one can eat his own chicken. So the higher local governments are supposed to be mentors, guiders, pathfinders for lower local governments. And we shouldn't be having a situation where you come to this area association meeting and you are complaining. The third issue is method of work. Members, if we keep on talking that we don't have money for physical planning, I will give you an example which is real. This town clerk you see here, Bamanisa, was the town clerk in my hometown, in the Bugoji Town Council. They did not have money for physical planning, but working with the cow, who was then Kweya Marhemba, we organized all the physical planners in the district. There are many. The district has, the municipality has. We organized them. They went and did work in the Bugoji Town Council, and their work was actually approved at the national level. So we have the staff, but it is a question of organization. Those people you say want consultants from where they have gone to the same school. So use your physical planners to really carry out physical planning in your local government. And also too, the question of roads. Roads, there are two things which we should distinguish. There is ownership of land and there is planning for that land. The municipality or urban entity is responsible for planning. You can own that land, but I will tell you that according to our master plan, there will be a road here. I can even mark it maybe with beacons, such that whoever wants to build in that area, when you are going to approve the plan, you approve it knowing that there will be a road here, whether we have compensated or not compensated. So you can control actually that type of planning. Secondly, if you are going to make, if you are, oh, I can sit on, but yeah. So secondly, if you are making roads using your own revenue, then you should make sure that the roads are wide enough when you have the opportunity. Knowing that one time there will be tarmac, which requires that distance. I will give you an example. When I bought a piece of land in Kampala, in Kulambiro, Tuba, where I stay. It was a bush, jacaranda, what, all that bush. But when I bought, there was a small path. And in my mind, I knew that this would be a major road because it was going to Kungu. So I made sure that the one who sold me, I told him I don't buy roads. My title started 5 meters from the middle of that road. And that's where my title started. And my wall for the house, I put it 1 meter away from where we had stopped. Today, there is a road, the Tamaka Road. They have even built this drain which passes water under. No wall in that area was done. And I was very keen. Even the neighbors who were selling that side, I would be there and make sure I say, leave 5 meters, there would be a road coming here. We worked for 10 years, and now we have a Tamaka Road in that place. So that is the part of the sensitization that we would have. The fourth one was, fifth was leadership issues. Please stand up and lead. There will be challenges. So this business of they should like me. Who told you you should be like? No. There is no need for people to like you when you are leading. Make sure you do your function and you do it very well. The rest can cater for yourself. Actually, when you make people do the right thing, eventually you will be their darling. They may not understand you, but when they understand you, they will really like you. The last issue was the law. There is a change. There are changes in the law, and as far as I'm concerned, I know there will be even further changes in this law. For instance, I will give you an example. I was at the head of doing the law for Kampala. When we did the law for Kampala, Article 5 of the Constitution was saying that Kampala, located in Uganda, shall be administered by the central government, and the law for that purpose will be done. That's what the Article 5, if you read your Constitution. So we had to make a city which had been removed from local government, but active with the participation of the people, but which is able to be administered by the central government. That's why the divisions in Kampala do not have corporate status. They are not legal entities, because you cannot, it is not easy to administer a multi-layered corporate status entity. So that's why that was for the purpose. So when we removed Kampala from the list of local governments, you will see, if you go to the first schedule, it says that Kampala and the districts of Uganda. It means Kampala is not a local government. So we were left with a situation where we had no local government cities. So we started on the process of creating local government cities. Actually, at that time it was Arua and Barara. Eventually, there are other cities which have done what? Which have come. Instead of lamenting that they are not working, we should be working out to see how they should be able to function. For instance, the law is now inadequate to support the city's operations, especially in the areas of financing. When you look at Kampala, you think that it is moving because no, we did 3 things in Kampala. One, we made sure that the big investments are on the consolidated fund, because the local revenue cannot even compensate a flyover where it will pass. 2, we made sure that we strengthened the technical management of the cities. And 3, we tried to reduce the politics in the city. Those was for Kampala. So you may need to look at there when you are having a discussion. How do you finance these cities? The cities cannot be financed like you finance a district, because their service requirements are far higher. That's why under LGDP programs, you found that the IPF in a district was lower than the IPF in the what? In the urban entity. Let me end with the question of equivalency. Yes, the city division is equivalent to a municipality, but that it is not equal. That's what people should know. It is equivalent. There is a difference between equivalent and equal. Okay? It is equivalent, for instance, during political times, the city division can have an MP representation. But there are certain things which the division may not have, arising out of what? Arising out of the objective conditions that relate to management. How do you manage a city which is bad layered? You remember there was a case when the Central Division in the Kampala took the Mayor Sebana Chizito and the City Hall to court because of procurement. You cannot have such statements in management. You cannot push service delivery that way. There must be a trade-off between who is running the city and who is helping to run the city. Thank you very much.
Before you leave,
you should also distinguish between two things. There is the financing flow, the way the money moves, and also the management. At that time, I remember when I was the deputy cow in Tugamo. Yes, Baraba now was, where is he? He's here. He was the town clerk in Tugamo. Then he came to me and said, we have not been getting our money. Then I asked him, what is the problem? He said, when the money comes to the district, it is somehow not coming to us. So when the first release I got, there was his money, and I transferred it to his account. Because there is money which is for transfer, for you to pass over, not for you to use as an accounting officer. So that is discipline of accounting officers. It's not anything within the law. And he's here. Good enough he's here. I gave, since I was then for the year and a half when I was acting cow, I transferred their money to their accounts. But previously the money was not going. So if the money is going through you, for ease of administration, because now we have very many entities, 135 districts. If we are going to have 500 votes, maybe it becomes difficult. They finance cities here to transfer that way. At a later stage, when the law is very clear, since we are using electronic systems, the money will eventually be wired there after designating the town clerk, the accounting officer of a certain code. Because before you do that directly, you must create the infrastructure for sending the money. If you have not designated an accounting officer, how do you send money, appropriate money directly to that entity? You have to appropriate it and a vote which has an accounting officer who will be responsible to supervise these lower local councils. So the amendment which is coming in, which the PSC Jackie has just talked about, that will also define how money is transferred. But at that time, we thought that it was okay because the town council is a lower local government to pass that money through the accounting officer, the cow, and then it goes straight. There is no problem. I'd never seen a problem, but it is the indiscipline of what? Accounting officer.
can you clap for the
Patron of Nelson Mandela, but it was set up against the background that while all the Millennium Development Goals and targets were being set, there was nothing that was targeting the urban poor living in slums and in former settlements. So the members during that Millennium Summit agreed to set up a Cities Alliance, which would be a global partnership to manage or to mobilize resources and manage a trust fund to support cities to fight urban poverty. That is how Cities Alliance was formed. At that time it was hosted by the World Bank, but later in 2013 it was hosted. It's now being hosted by the United Nations Office for Project Services, UNOPS. So it does not carry its own identity, but it takes on the legal framework or legal status of a hosting entity. So that is what is Cities Alliance. It has a secretariat in Brussels, and now it is setting up hubs. We're going to have a hub in Nairobi, which is going to be managing the sub-Saharan, the portfolio in the sub-Saharan African countries. It has been providing grants to cities and national governments. In Uganda, the first grant that was provided supported the government to formulate the national urban policy under the Ministry for Land, Housing and Urban Development. It was noted that the country was urbanizing in a policy vacuum, while the town and country planning law was there, but the policy to guide urbanization was lacking. The second thing that it provided, the community upgrading fund to improve access to infrastructure in selected municipalities. And that gave rise to the grant for the preparatory phase of this. So it mobilized the grant that enabled the cities to prepare to access the USMID funding from the World Bank. Later on, it funded a study, which is called Future Cities Africa, to assess the resilience of our cities. And it was discovered that our cities were not resilient under the 5 dimensions in terms of governance, that they were not resilient. And I think that gives rise to the need for effective leadership. The second was services, that the cities were not resilient in as far as services are concerned. The third area was environment, and then the fourth was economy, and lastly, it is citizenship. That it's important to emphasize and empower the citizens to have a sense of belonging and ownership of the city. Right now, Cities Alliance has been implementing citizen migration projects in Arua and then in Jinja. Specifically, Arua, it was focusing on forced migrants, including refugees. While in Jinja, it was focusing on voluntary migrants who migrate to cities in search of business opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, we are also supporting cities to do urban expansion planning. Because while previously we were thinking that focusing on slum improvement would improve the conditions of the poor in slums. But then we discovered that there are more slums which are being created, more informal settlements, more unplanned settlements are growing every other day. And this is why we thought it's important to plan 30 years ahead, plan for the city expansion. And this is a presentation which my colleague, Dr. Mkwezi, was presenting. That we need to predict in terms of population growth, what is going to be the population size. And we also establish how much land is going to be required to accommodate that population. And we also identify the ecologically or environmentally sensitive areas which must be earmarked early enough and protected. Then can we plan? Let's superimpose a grid of arterial road network, 30 meters wide, positioned or located 1 kilometer from each other. So it is a grid. So once we have that kind of grid, that is the most efficient network for mobility. And if you have that kind of grid, then there will be no traffic congestion whatever. Because you should aim at always having junctions which are across 4 entries, not less than that. If you have 3, then that one is already a recipe for congestion. And then lastly, once you have identified those corridors, can you protect them? I'm glad that the law of the land emphasizes that even if you own the land, but it must be used in accordance with the planning law. So we should not have an excuse that because we cannot plan because the land is not ours. No. You must plan and just enforce. Just like you can own a car, but you must enjoy it in accordance with the traffic law. When you break the law, certainly you face a penalty. The other day, I think I violated the red light. I thought there was room. When I violated, they stopped me, I had to pay. They fined me there and there, 100,000 shillings. So this is what enforcement is. That in case you own land in the city, you must certainly plan that land. There's even a provision in the law for a private physical development plan. Engage a qualified physical planner on how to utilize your land. So that is basically what we have done so far. Urban expansion planning is being implemented in 4 cities and 1 municipality, and we expect that we are now involving Makerere University, UAAU, to set up a network of practitioners who will be working with the town councils and other municipalities to do the same thing. The approach here is very cheap, but we are using the technical staff within the city. Build their capacity, tell them what to do. In 3 days, they already have come up with an urban expansion plan. And once the road network is provided for, then you are able to put a hold on any further mushrooming of unplanned settlements. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of development partners, I want to point out one thing. That currently we have Urban Development Partners Group in Uganda. World Bank is the chair, and Cities Alliance is the co-chair. We always hold quarterly meetings to share the information and also to agree on how we can advise or make an input to government. I would like to appreciate the progress so far made by government, investments in infrastructure, investments in power, investments in the other services. I think government is commended. And as development partners, we shall endeavor to work together with the government and support where possible. The European Union has currently provided a grant for sustainable integration of displacement affected communities in Uganda, in DRC, in Sudan, in Ethiopia, and in Somalia. And I'm glad to say that in Uganda, Koboko and Arua are the 2 cities which are hosting the largest number of forcibly displaced communities. These are refugees, urban refugees. And with the support they are going to get, they will be able to improve access to basic infrastructure. They will improve access to livelihood opportunities. They will also build the capacity to effectively respond to the needs of the migrants. With these few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to make 2 points. One, there's a lady who worked in the US, and she made this observation that we are taking 21st century challenges, evaluating them with 20th century ideas, and responding with 19th century tools. Okay, we are taking 21st century challenges, evaluating them with 20th century ideas, and responding with 19th century tools. This was Madeleine Albright, the late US Secretary of State. What does that mean? That we need to move faster and use or apply the 21st century ideas and innovations to tackle the challenges of the 21st century. If you continue doing the same thing and expect different results, it is insanity. Again, that was by Albert Einstein. So we now need to do things differently. Our minds need to be different. In my view, we need educational system that will help to empower our minds. to think differently and identify 3 things that we need to appreciate. Each one of us has been given those 3 things. Number 1, we have been given time. It's one of the greatest assets that a city has. Moreover, that was the first thing that God created. Time. Each one has 24 hours. How you use the 24 hours will determine how high or how far you go. Number 2, problems. Each one of us has been given a share of problems. Each city has problems. What matters is your perception. Are you looking at the problems as opportunities, or are you looking at problems as fate, determined by fate to bring you down? We need to develop the capacity to appreciate and find solutions to problems, because problems are the raw materials for the mind. And lastly, the potential. We have the potential that makes a whole difference, and all of us, including Bill Gates. When you look at, he has everything that we have. Why is it that his minute costs $6,000? The minute of Bill Gates. While some of us, for one whole month, we cannot even get that. So this is why we need to develop the potential. Mr. President, I want to end here and encourage members that we need to develop or to take the presentation which the PS Emeritus made seriously, to develop leaders. Develop leaders. And I'm proposing, if we have a champion leader, can the champion leader reproduce others? If the president is a champion leader, mentor others, reproduce others in order to take their solution forward. May God bless you.
Thank you very much. Can you clap for the...
And immediately those questions came, I still contacted him. And he has requested that all those entities that have delayed IRA's money, kindly, I'll visit the other side, come and register or write down the amount of money, how long it has taken, and the entity. And he's going to attend to that because he's the one in charge of.
Those of you who have been following the events that have been happening, that the Local Governments Act is undergoing an overhaul amendment, and consultations are still going on, but now at the final stages, because it has even already been presented in the cabinet, but that does not even stop the inputs that you have to give us. Like the President has said, that amendment has also been provided for, so that we don't have those issues again coming up. But if Olga was here, they would have raised the conflict as far as that is concerned. Because if you realize the 580 town councils that we have in this country, they have depleted the districts of local revenue, isn't it? So if Ulka was here, they would be complaining. But also the ministry, when we are creating these town councils, these administrative units, we don't just wake up and dream. The requests actually originate from the districts. This is why I'm saying that this time around, we have taken a deliberate effort to say, let's put a hold on the creation. Why? Because we realized that we had really fragmented the country, and therefore we need to go
to read for you my opinion, which is on page 42. That's all I have to do. However, there are just 2 issues in the financial report. The 2 issues are, 1, the surplus was 417 million on page 45. On page 45, the surplus was 417 million. However, the balance on the bank statement on page 46 was 418 million. Usually the surplus and the balance in the bank statement should be the same. The cause for the difference is there is an element of depreciation which we have in the accounts on page 45. There is an element of depreciation which is a non-cash expense. When I deduct it from the surplus, I get 417. But the actual cash is 418 in the bank account. Members, are we clear on that? And two, I would like to highlight that the net worth or the total assets of the association, if I can take it to page 46, grew from 1,034 million to 1.451 billion. I want to highlight that growth in the statement. Otherwise, I want to draw your attention to page 43, 42, and I read my opinion. Then before that, my duty is the figures the treasurer has read to you. My duty is to come and go through them and see whether they are really fair and true. After finding out that they are fair and true, I come and make my opinion. It's just one paragraph. On page 42, which is not mentioned, but it's coming from page 43, I read the opinion. Those first two paragraphs of that page 42. They say, we have altered the financial statements of Urban Authorities Association of Uganda, which comprise the statement of financial position as at 30th June 2024, and the statement of comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, and statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. They are right inside the report. Finally, I would say, in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly all the material respects, the financial position of the company as at 30th June 2024, and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards, the requirements of the Uganda Companies Act. In other words, our audit did not reveal anything different from what the treasurer has read to you. If there was anything different from that, we would give what we call a codified